And he's got a lot of stories to tell, but he's going to share particularly about some of the ways God's been moving lately. So, Sam, take it away.
Hi, I'm Sam Grooms. I'm a sophomore here at Virginia Tech. The home is in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I study accounting, I work at Owens, and I'm a member at large of the fencing club. So that's just so you kind of know who I am. So over the summer, I worked for this company called WinShape Camps for Communities. And what it was this traveling church camp, and I was a part of a team of 28 people. And for 10 weeks, we would go to a separate church each week, and we would set up over the weekend, run the camp from Monday to Friday, and on a Friday we'd pack up and leave. And once a week, we would have this designated time where we'd set aside the day, and we would come together as a team, and we would we'd have like a staff worship. And what we would do is we'd run like a Devo or songs or something. And one staff worship, for instance, we were on the beach in Daytona, and we spent the day on the beach, and we sang some praise songs, had a Devo, and then separated off to either hang out with each other or spend some time with the Lord. But the story I want to share is what happened in week 7, which when we were in Decatur, Georgia, which is in like the northeast of Georgia. So our volunteer director named Austin, he led the staff worship, and he talked about the Last Supper. And then afterwards, we took communion. But as he was talking about the Last Supper, he really emphasized the language that Jesus uses. He says, "This is my body broken for you. This is my blood poured out for you." And it was cool because he really emphasized the personal love that Jesus had at that moment. Because he could have said, "You all are the world," but he was specifically saying you. And to me, that was huge because I never really felt that kind of specific love before, that personal love before. Because whenever a pastor would say, you know, God loves the world, or God loves you all, I would always feel left out of that. I never really knew what my purpose was. And so we moved on to communion, and I took my bread and my cup, and I went to the back row of the sanctuary, and it was a pretty big one. And I just put my head on the pew, and I said, "Hey, God, I need to know now why I'm here. Why do you wake me up every morning? Why am I still here? What is my purpose? You haven't told me yet. I want to know." And I just sat there waiting, and I didn't take communion until then. That was kind of like my card. I was like, "Hey, God, I won't take communion until you tell me." So I sat there. And then I sat there, and it felt like God had just put the verses Mark 12:30 and 31 into my head, which are, love the Lord with your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. And the second is to love others as yourself. So I was like, okay, cool, that's my purpose. So I took my bread and my cup, and then I was awesome. But I was like, wait, that's not specifics. I want to know specifics. So I walked out of the sanctuary and sat down on the stairwell and put my head in my hands like, hey, I need to know exactly what you want me to do. And he says, you don't get to know. Because he knows my heart and my mind. And he said, if I was to tell you everything, you would then think, how do I do it better? How do I do it faster? How do I do it more efficient? And I don't love you for that. And he told me that he loves me not because if I can be a good camp counselor, not if I can be a good Christian, not if I can be a good person, is that he just loves me. And that was really liberating in that moment because I always thought I had to be. And then I got mad at myself because I was like, you're not supposed to put God to the test. You can't sit there and tell him what to do. And then he talked to me again. He was like, why would I be mad at you for wanting to know how I want you to advance my kingdom? Why would I be mad at you for wanting to know your purpose? Why would I be mad at you for wanting me to talk to you? So that hit me again. I was like, wow, this is awesome. God talks to me like a patient father. And it's cool to hear and see from him that he does have a purpose for me, that he thinks very highly of me, and that when Jesus was hanging out in the cold, dying, that my name went through his mind, that he had a plan for me. And I want to encourage y'all because I know I struggled with trying to hear from God for a long time. And 2 things that I found that helped out with that is if you ask him to talk to you, if you ask him to show up, if you ask him, and you ask him to be blatantly obvious so you don't miss it. And then you've got to listen. Because if you're talking to someone and you want to hear what they have to say, you've got to stop talking. And that took me a long time to learn. And then it finally helped. And so I would challenge you with that. And to kind of close up, I learned a lot this summer, going through, spending time doing that church camp. But what I learned the most is what the Lord thinks of me. And it's a lot better than what I think of myself. So thank you.